It's a lot.
Right, yeah. We're pumped. I mean, the cool thing is we're only 3.5 years old, so we're pretty thrilled we found the growth we have in that short amount of time. We have our Alleviar brand, which to me most closely resembles what.
Yeah, did
what
y'all
MedPharm
try
is.
to pick like difficult words? Because like when I tell people, I'm like, because people ask me about salve and pain aim,
Yeah.
and y'all gave me a bunch of the batch, and gave me some of those as well. And as someone who had an injury, I do enjoy applying the cream.
Cool.
Why do we have such shitty names? Aloe like that sounds
To alleviate in Spanish.
Oh.
Alleviar.
as a single
Yeah.
linguist over here.
Yeah, so
Damn
yeah.
it.
Albie actually
I'll edit that
Albie
out.
came up with that one. Albie came up with that one. It's to alleviate, and that's what Alleviar's for. It's creams, it's topicals, it's tinctures, tablets. We really focus on the health and wellness brand. Our tincture is a 20-1, 1,400 milligrams of CBD in a really concentrated jar. It's not the sexiest product, right? Like, you don't have people screaming from the rooftops about how dope their tincture is or how dope their topical is.
In fact, tincture is probably like the bottom tier. If it
is,
doesn't have
yeah.
like, some seriously hallucinogen or pack a huge punch,
Totally.
it's oftentimes like ancillary.
We're talking like 3% of the total market
Uh-huh.
for all those things combined, right? It's just not the sexy stuff. But what we found is our product, so the tincture itself won best-selling for LeafLink list, with LeafLink is kind of an important list.
Back to back, as what I
Yeah, back
heard.
to back, 2019, 2020.
Drake wrote a song about y'all, didn't
That's
he?
right. It was
Yeah.
actually about us. He
Yeah.
called us for it. So, but to have that product, what it tells us is people come back for it, right? So, live resins and dope ass concentrates that people are going to dab. That's fun. It's sexy. It's a blast. That's just not what Alleviar is about, and we're good with that, right? Second is our Become line, which is THC and CBD ratioed products, right? So, how to get people
Cartridges and everything.
Cartridges, concentrates, yeah. How to get people more engaged with CBD. I have qualms about the CBD industry, obviously, like most people do. Very serious lack of regulation, a very serious lack of, proper done products. But that's where Become kind of steps in. THC and CBD derive from the cannabis plant, not just hemp, right? And that's what that line really focuses on. And then we have our mixed product, which is brand new, just launched this month.
We just heard about this.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
thing's going to be some revolutionary jazz, huh?
Yeah, so one of the cool things Scott's been able to do.
Scott formulated that.
Yep.
Hey,
Scott,
way to go,
Scott!
Scott!
Why don't you talk about mix? That's your bread and butter.
Draw it up on the whiteboard.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw my white coat, but do some stuff.
I can put some funny formulas up there if you want.
I mean, we got two cameras here.
It started a couple years ago. I really wanted to formulate a water-soluble powder, a true water-soluble powder. You've seen that term used a lot.
Everywhere.
But our powder, when you look at the mix, it's like a vapor. It is so fine. It's when you open
You could
it
snort
up,
it.
You could.
I'll say it.
But it's like a vapor. It dissolves instantly in water. It's easy to formulate with. You can use it in anything. It's tasteless. It has no taste except for an expected cannabis, which you want, but there's no taste otherwise. There's no bitterness. You don't taste the emulsifier, unlike other products. But it's everything we do at MedPharm. It makes it so fun is we enhance user perception and agreement. We want it to increase bioavailability. We want it to work quickly. We want it to be expected. You want expected results. You want to know how it's going to work every time. It's predictable and it's fun to use.
I love it. Okay, so, I mean, obviously, you have some competitors in the market as y'all are just now about to unveil yours. But a fun question we like to ask, like, our brewers and those that are, like, very hands-on in the building out of something, how long of this process was just, like, arduous, like, trial and errors? How many, like, so close did we have before we finally got it?
It took a year. A year of hard work. We actually we just received a patent on it.
Oh, well, there you go.
And we received it on 420.
Oh, that's comic as well as.
Of course, my son's like, "How much did you pay for that?" I'm like, "We didn't. It was
Pure luck.
Fortunate." No, it took a year. Came up with a really good product at first, but it wasn't what we wanted. It's a lot of iterations, a lot of changes, and now it's perfected.
So we're on like model number like 48, or
Probably.
say like 79.
We're almost. Well, I try to keep it below Heinz 53 or Heinz 57, whatever
57.
one it is. But
Jimmy's pissed right No, I can understand. That's well done then. So a year of it, and it's kind of your baby. So it goes to market really soon, and we'll be able to see that across the city as well. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
give us some name drops for the Front Range folks.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to.
That's fine.
I'm gonna get in trouble. So we just started selling. We had this is probably like a cool thing. We had about 35 stores bring it on before even sample, right? Common practice in our industry is obviously stores want to try it out. We had 35 stores not even needed to sample it and just say, yeah, we know what you guys
whatever
do.
y'all do.
Yeah,
yeah.
and that to me is like, it's not a lot of stores, but that is a very cool win, and it's trust. I think our customers, when I say customers, the dispensaries we work with trust us. They know we're producing top quality products, and that was really cool to see.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I want to give that a shot.
Yeah.
So we have some for you, so you're going to be able to.
You can't consume on site, though, Chris. You know the rules.
No
Yeah.
rules. Yeah.
Wait, really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I'm taking this jacket. I was about to say, I'm stealing this jacket. All right, guys, so I thought we've done pretty well. Before we go, you mentioned something about how y'all are kind of working to maybe see the side effects of how cannabinoids would work with something like a dementia patient or an Alzheimer's patient. That and cancer have taken the combined 3 of my 4 grandparents. I'd love to know, what are we looking for in that? You're probably smarter than he is from what I've gathered. What do we look like? Are we looking to like try to catch it earlier and like kill cells? Are we trying to like demean like or diminish the late effects? Like, what is it? Is it more of a we're trying to be proactive or reactive?
Well, so let me kind of tell you a little bit about the trial itself. I think that will help.
Yeah, tell us more about trials.
So the way the trial works, right, is what a lot of people don't understand about research is it is an incredibly long process. It is an incredibly expensive process, right? So to get the patients that we needed, there's a whole list of things we need to do to have patients be cleared. You have family members. When you're talking about dementia and Alzheimer's patients, you're talking about people who don't always have their mind, right? So to have family buy-in, to have that whole process is an entire thing, right? Then we talk about the clinical trial itself, right? So we've been lucky enough to partner with a brain scan company. So the way the trial works is the first part?
Trimester.
First phase?
Jeez, yeah.
He's the
science smart guy, right? So the first phase, right? So there's 3 entire brain scans over the course of the trial, right? You want to do a first one for level, right? There's a midway one for safety and kind of a cross check, and then there's a final, right? The big piece about our trial though is the loved ones, right? So the people who are with these folks who are suffering every day, right?
Testimonials and things of that
Yeah.
nature.
So are you seeing improvements? Are you seeing anything, right? And if we have 3 different drugs being administered, so you have the placebo, you have our compound of THC and CBD, then we have then we have the drug. Then we have the drug that we're hoping to actually use, and Scott can talk about that. But over the course of this, year and a half, is it about? Mm-hmm. Over the course of about a year and a half, this is how long it takes to actually see effects, right? So the brain scan piece, the placebo, actual administration of the drug, or just the THC CBD compound. That's how long we're talking. But we're relying heavy on the loved ones' feedback for this study. So that's a little bit more. Talk a little bit about the drug itself.
Yeah, well, there's actually one more piece though too.
Yeah.
We're actually doing blood markers. So we're working with a world-renowned neurologist who specializes in
Name drop him. No, I'm just kidding.
but he's top of the line, and we're doing blood markers too, so we can actually measure the effects of oxidation and inflammation in the brain. At the same time, we do the scans. And as Tim mentioned, it's the caregiver response, the caregiver's quality of life and the patient's quality of life. But the formulation is a combination of a lot of different nutraceuticals that have been shown.
Spell that way. What the fuck's a nutraceutical?
Vitamins, supplements.
Okay. Flintstones.
Yeah, the fancy term for it.
Just crushing
it. But there's a lot of research on a lot of different supplements. But they've never been used at the right dose, and they've never been used together. And then we're adding cannabinoids that we've done a lot of research with at the proper ratio, the proper dose, and we're putting it all together in one simple capsule for the patient to take daily. And that's what's going to make it unique. So instead of a patient having to take 6 or 7 different things, they can just take one once a day. And it's bioavailable. It's going to work. We know it's going to be absorbed by the body, and we're just excited to get this process started. Like Tim said, it's been a year and a half. it takes forever to get things moving.
Oh, I know. I've been reading on Google when I take a shit every morning about vaccines. I know everything there is to know about them now. You're totally cool.
So are you guys like doing like fMRIs on these patients like before and then during and just kind of seeing what's going on in the brain?
Yes. Yep. We're starting with the baseline. We're starting midway through. And we're starting, and then, of course, at the end.
Yeah.
We definitely want to. This research will probably branch into like 5 other studies. This is just the initial. And with those brain scans and the blood markers and the MRIs, there's a lot of interesting things that we can do from that. And it can lead to other things, maybe research in PTSD or traumatic brain injuries, things like that.
And these patients or this drug that you're testing, it doesn't get the patient high, correct? Like it's just. You're using the compounds and things like that.
It will not get the patient high. It's just cannabinoids in the proper doses and ratios.
Okay. See, I'm wondering when like big pharma is not going to start using cannabis as a way, like maybe your medication has a side effect of nausea or something. Like using cannabis.
I think we're talking to the team that is trying to facilitate that kind of to have that, like FDA approval in terms of that. But I think you're right. Like, and there's so many different avenues. We spoke earlier of cancer, and my grandfather, rest in peace, Papa. But when he had it, he was sick last Thanksgiving, and so my dad was like, "Hey, bring home some of that medicine you take." And so I brought home a bunch of dissolvables. We won't say names of what. And I just put a little bit in his bourbon when he was having his Thanksgiving. And my aunt, as you're talking about loved ones' testimonials, and they're with him all the time. And they're like, "This is the most he's eaten and spoken with anybody in weeks, like at all." And I was like, I put 10 milligrams of dissolvable powder. And my dad was like, "Why don't you just leave the rest of those behind?" And so we did. I mean, obviously the nurses weren't administering them, but when the aunt was taking him out of his place and like taking him around, just give him a little bit if you want to.
Sure.
So,
and that's really the reason we do it.
That's
for the stories like that and helping patients like that.
Yeah, and it's a family-based situation where it can be the next generation as well. So hopefully by the time, if I make it to the point where diseases get me before Popeyes, that y'all will be there to pick me up. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
All right, guys, that was a really great science conversation. We almost did a whole tutorial in class about it. I'm going to ask you to take off your work hats now because we're going to ask y'all some questions about you, a little bit about cannabis and do you like it? And then we're going to dive into some food and some normal bullshit that we do every week. Should we do cartoons today?
I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm going to think about it.
Okay.
The first question I think we're going to ask is, when was the first time you got high and did you like it?
I'll go. I would say about 13 or 14, and I loved it. I don't think I've stopped since.
So was it easy to get in Chicago?
Chicago, man, of course.
I mean, I don't fucking know. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi. We got it from a liquor store guy.
Yeah, I grew up on the north side. It was readily available, and it was.
See, the south side is what I would have thought was readily available.
Yeah, it probably comes through there. I don't know. But yeah, haven't looked back.
$20 more up on the north
That's
side.
That's right.
You're the kid that was getting the $20 grams.
25, yep.
I thought it was Chicago. You had competitive. Well, okay, so it's been an accessible thing for you, and so you just never had to put it down?
Yeah, what's funny now, I talk about this all the time, is like, I started with flour, right? And like, it just occurred to me, there's like a generation of 21-year-olds that are like, their first experiences are like oils and like vape pens and shit and concentrates. And I'm like, thank God flour was the first thing I had a chance to start with.
Brickweed, no less.
Yeah. Seriously, terrible weed.
Terrible
awful weed. But yeah, love it.
Makes you appreciate the good flour these days.
That's right.
We literally had a conversation the other day, shout out with McCarter, and she's 10 years, 15 years our junior, and she was like, yeah, you remember in high school when your friends would drive to Colorado and come back with a co-op? And I was like,
nope.
The fuck no.
Nope.
It wasn't legal when I was in high school. This is preposterous.
Right, same
so
here.
I know, I'm envious of the accessibility that people have nowadays, but obviously if you have kids, don't do drugs. I don't know. We don't do PSAs. Yeah. Tell us about big city living, Scooter.
I was a goody. Pharmacy.
You're a pharmacist.
I was a pharmacist. I was scared to death to do anything like that for fear of losing life. That's what we were brainwashed in the first day of school. I started trying edibles 5 years ago when I came out here. I didn't like them, so I made my own better. All right, so.
Yes. God,
but that's
you're an engineer.
So I like coming out to Colorado.
So do you not live here?
Oh, I'm remote. I come out almost every third week.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
you bip and bop?
Yeah, by Bip and Bob.
Scott's the first non-resident badge holder in Colorado.
Hey, that's what's up. I applied for mine just recently because I'm on the job hunt, and I figured to be proactive and get